Hello, and welcome again to another episode of GameQ. I am Jason.
Hi, I'm Wesley.
And today we're going to be talking about...
Nope, damn it.
Wrong one.
Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, this is one of the additional games that came out in the Final Fantasy VII kind of series, canon,
yep.
whatever. Dirge of Crisis Core.
They all blend.
Yeah, so this one was released on the PSP. I had to do a very complicated... we had to, like...
Streaming setup.
I thought I had a PSP, but it turns out, I guess my PSP was missing.
Right.
So I had to, like, go to a game store and buy one and get some adapter cables to hook it up to the TV, and then that wasn't quite working. I had to get, like, a weird power cable. And
it would randomly, like, cut out for a second every minute, so that was fun to deal with.
Yeah, because we were trying to play this together, and we didn't want to, like, look at the PSP screen.
Yeah, we only use the PSP, which is not a good controller.
Yeah, it's not... It's okay. But anyway, we got it working.
We got through.
It was an effort, but we did manage to play Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII. Weird that it's not on any other system.
Yeah,
Very
given
bizarre.
that it's the best story of all the Final Fantasy VII pieces of media.
Yeah, I guess we're going to start
have
there.
Any remaster on, like, any other system, yeah.
Yeah, we were kind of... PlayStation controllers are the worst.
Well, I mean, it's the PSP, it's not even a PlayStation controller, it's just the shoulder buttons feel strange. The analog stick is like the DS, but worse.
I kind of like the weird slide pad.
Oh, so weird.
It's neat, but I don't like... I'm not in love with it, no. I'd rather have an analog stick. Anyway, controls aside, yeah, this is...
I think it's the last of the Final Fantasy VII games that came out.
I suppose so, but it's one of the ones that takes place the earliest, yeah.
Oh, we did not play before Crisis, which is the earliest, because it's mobile only.
Yeah. Right, but I think it did come out afterwards, or something.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. but yeah, Crisis Core is the story of Zack, who is very important in Final Fantasy VII, but does not have much screen time at all. And it's very much his story through the latter part of his soldier journey. During the war with Wutai. It
kind of starts, 7 years?
5 years.
I think it's 7 years before. It's 7 years before. There's like a 2-year gap between when the game starts and the 5 year.
Much of a gap?
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, because it's at least a few months.
It's like 2 years.
Okay.
Because Zack changes his hair and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a 2 year.
I guess I don't know if it says 2 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it says 2 years.
In any case, it's.
I'm pretty sure it says 7 years.
It's on the order of months.
Because the war where Sephiroth becomes a hero,
on the
like
order
with Wutai.
of months.
And they said the war with Wutai was like 7 years ago.
Did they?
Yeah. Even though I think in our prior review I said 5, it's definitely 7.
Yeah, it ends 5 years ago.
Regardless.
Yeah. Between 5 and Final Fantasy 7 years ago, there is the war with Wutai.
What? We're looking over and chat's just fighting over whether or not the PS4 controller is the best.
I mean, whatever is the best, it's not the PSP.
Sure, yeah.
And yeah, this game basically is the story of Zack as he becomes from a second-class soldier, or soldier second-class, or a soldier first-class, and kind of his journey to be a hero and be like one of the top soldiers in Shinra Corp.
And it's about how a lot of it is like how he meets Aerith, who turns out his girlfriend.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically...
It's mentioned in 7.
It's mentioned in 7, but not...
Aerith says that she had a boyfriend named Zack and kind of asked if you ever heard of him. And that's kind of leaves it at that.
Right. Because I guess Aerith never actually does meet Cloud in Crisis Core even.
No, it's just before.
So it's kind of... So, I mean, if you've played FF7, you know that Zack dies. Like, he does not survive at the end.
It was pretty funny when I was trying to look up a list of, like, missables for Crisis Core. I accidentally saw a thing that was, like, alternate endings. Like, are there alternate endings? And someone was like, no, Zack was always going to die. And I was like, oh no, spoilers! I'm like, wait, I knew that.
Yeah.
We already knew Zack was dead.
So it's interesting. This is a game about an ostensibly very cheerful main character.
Yes, Zack is a very happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, he's a happy-go-lucky guy.
Yeah,
he's into being a hero. Sure, yeah. Zack has this whole, like, he's like a proper kind of shonen hero.
Yep.
He, like, wants to be a hero. That's, like, his biggest goal in life. He looks up to this dude, Sephiroth, who he thinks is, like, the coolest.
As well as Angeal and Genesis.
Angeal and Genesis, who are
Basically,
two new people that they made up just for this game.
Maybe the only 3 soldier first classes in Shinra?
Yeah, and he, like, really wants to be a soldier first class. But he's just second class at the start, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he looks up to, like, kind of his 3 heroes.
And so you're following the journey of this, like, starry-eyed youth as he, like, marches towards his ultimate demise at the end, which is kind of unceremonious.
But wow, he's so much more fun than Cloud.
He's way more fun than Cloud.
He's like all the fun parts of Cloud without the mopey bits.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting. I think this game does a very good job of building up Zack's character, so you, like, understand like where he's coming from, who he is, without even really going into, like, his. They don't try to make his backstory.
No, there's not that much background, right?
Like, you know where he grew up, but you never.
Because of 7, even you don't even really talk that much about where he grew up in the Crisis Core. I mean, he talks to Cloud.
It's brief.
A little bit about Gaga, but like, he has 2 normal parents and they're still alive in Final Fantasy VII.
But yeah, he's, unlike a lot of other main characters, he's not, like, born to be a hero. He's not.
Yeah, he's just working hard and is motivated.
Yeah, he's just like a cool guy who just wants to do good in the world.
He doesn't even really have destiny thrust upon him or anything. Like, even by the end of the game, he's still pretty secondary to the other 3, or at least to Sephiroth and Genesis.
Yes.
So he's not like, he sadly never really becomes, like, the hero, per se.
I mean, he ultimately does. Like, the whole point of the game is that, like, while he doesn't get to be the hero himself, he does effectively save Cloud.
Yeah. Which
allows Cloud to go forth and become the hero of the world.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
overall story's good.
The story's really good. I think
voice acting is really good.
Voice acting is
really
really good.
Fully voice acted, which is fun.
Especially considering, like, getting to hear, like, Sephiroth's voice is like bizarre.
Yeah, it's
actually having Sephiroth talk to you.
Yeah, and you get to see Sephiroth as a normal, well-adjusted person.
Yes, before he goes off the deep end.
Because you get very little of that in 7 before the events of Nibelheim happen and he goes crazy.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool to, like, see the humanized Sephiroth.
Yeah, and like, he's pretty reasonable. He's just a really good sword master.
Yeah, he's like quiet and like but he like has a sense of humor. He's interesting.
He he's wary of Shinra, even though he's like a top employee.
Yeah, you would think of him as being like, ooh, he's going to be like the villain, like the ultimate villain, and like the bad guy behind everything. It's like, nah, not really.
No, he's just kind of he's there in the background.
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess gameplay wise, it's very Kingdom Hearts.
Yes. Yeah, you can tell that Nomura just wanted to make Kingdom Hearts in so many different fashions.
Yeah, I feel like Kingdom Hearts is just what Nomura was meant to do.
And like, finally, after, Final Fantasy X-ish or something, eventually he got the ability to like, kind of do it. Like, Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts and Crisis Core. Did we play another action-y Nomura thing? Oh, I guess Cerberus.
That's not really Nomura, though.
No, but like, it still has a Kingdom Hearts feel.
Sure, yeah, a bit.
It's different, but yeah. But yeah, it is an actual action RPG now. You kind of seamlessly fight battles on the world map. Like, you get into battles, but you don't transition. You just kind of start fighting on the map in like in a ring. Like,
yeah, they basically like you walk forward, a random battle will happen. It'll block off an invisible ring around you, and some enemies spawn in. You fight and kill them, and then you move on. You equip materia still that you like level up. There's a little bit less combining materia sort of thing.
Yeah, there's still some combining happening.
There's a little bit of it, but it's pretty late in the game.
It's weaker. There are like more materia potentially. Or there's different materia.
There is. materia fusion is kind of the new thing, where you, like, take two materia and you fuse them together, and you get some third materia, and...
most of your increase in strength does come from leveling up your materia and finding better materia. You leveling up your character doesn't actually matter too much.
Right.
Which is good, because level up mechanics are really weird in this game.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a Nomura game if they didn't do something really fucking, like, just...
So, in the upper left corner of the screen, whenever you're in battle, is a slot machine that's always running. And sometimes it rolls a level up, and sometimes it rolls random power-ups for you, and sometimes you're fighting a boss for like 30 minutes and you don't get anything, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's really... It's got that same... Like, so it's not such a big deal.
No, it's not really.
It's pretty mild, but it has the same feel...
It sure is strange, though.
If you've played, like, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories...
Yep.
Nomura really likes these kind of... Or, if you've played The World Ends With You, actually, that's a good example, too.
Both of these.
Yeah, Tetsuya Nomura really likes this kind of weird... Assuming that he did the game design for both of these, which I assume he was always vaguely involved, I don't know. He has this notion of, like split attention battle systems, where you're, like, doing one thing based on muscle memory, like fighting.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing the combat inputs out of muscle memory and just, like, sort of loosely looking at that. But also there's something else going on in, like, the corner of the screen.
Yes.
That you're, like, paying attention to that while you do some secondary task.
Yeah. Like, The World Ends With You, you're literally... It's on the DS. You're literally fighting down, controlling things on the bottom screen while having to do random inputs on the D-pad for the top screen. In Chain of Memories, you would like to be able to pay attention to what cards the, like, bosses are playing and, like, what combos they're building up, but it's really hard.
Yes.
And yeah, here you'd like to know what kind of random bonuses you're getting and when they turn off, because they'll, like, last for a certain amount of time. But it's just, like, rotating through your bonuses, like, out in the corner of your eye. And you, like, it's hard to know when they've stopped.
Yeah, there's like a very mild... actually no, not really. A couple of the status effects have like a marker on your character.
Yes.
But most of the things like regen and barrier, which are all super important, are off like all the way on the far like middle left side.
Yeah,
in, like,
and it only shows one at a
text.
time and it rotates between them, and so if it turns off, you might even be able to tell when it turns off. You have to wait for it to cycle through all of the things that you currently have active, and you often have like 6 buffs active at a time, and it shows like each one for a solid second.
So this might be easier if we weren't playing on a TV.
It's true, yeah.
So a big problem with playing on the TV is that like you're looking and then you like look to the left, you have to like tilt your whole head to see something.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have been better on that.
But if you're playing just on the screen, you could see it all at a glance, so that might be
I think it would still be tricky. But certainly this game and Rechain of Memories, we both, I think, a lot of value out of having a second player or be like the strategy coach.
The spotter.
Yeah, who's there to like do the callouts for you, like, okay, barrier's down, or like, you know, he's using a 10.
Oh yeah, similarly, like, it's important to know how much HP the enemies have. We played the game in hard mode. Because it was suggested to us that normal was, like, way too easy.
And it certainly looks like normal is ridiculously easy, you just press X. And hard is, like, unnecessarily grindy. They need a middle difficulty.
I don't know if they do. So, I mean, I'm masochistic, so I would just try to do the things.
But some of their fights, they're only hard because it's just long.
Not the actual... So, I mean, we could have gotten through the main story faster if we just did the main story.
I think the main story on hard is actually quite a good difficulty. But
the rest of it is kind of... I mean, yes, the side missions are a slog, but they don't have to be if you just kind of do the main story and then go do the side missions. I was kind of trying to do the side missions as we went, which was maybe not the best idea.
This game does have the classic kind of mobile or handheld game problem of, like, because it's a handheld game, and therefore you have more tolerance for grinding, we've put in a bunch of grindy content.
Yeah, the missions are just kind of this, like, side thing that you can always go do.
Yeah.
There's kind of, like, a loose story knitted through all of them. That's kind of cute.
It's pretty loose. Yuffie's things are kind of cute, though, again, repetitive.
Yeah.
But she has all the good shit in, like, her mission line.
Spoilers,
it's like the
that Yuffie is in the game.
Do you see her, like, the second mission in the main story?
Yes, but that's a secret. Spoiler section.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think in spite of all the kind of awkwardness and clunkiness of the usual battle system stuff, I thought the battle system was fun to play.
It demands a decent amount of mastery on hard to do well.
Yeah, I mean, if you were just trying to get through it for the story, just play on normal, probably.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, even then, you could probably play on hard.
Yeah, I think if you're playing through the story, I think hard's actually good. You wouldn't have to do too many missions.
It'll force you to actually use the materia system, but that's actually fun to do. So just do it.
Yeah, there's some pretty interesting new materia too.
There's a lot of cool abilities. It feels very Kingdom Heartsy. It feels very much like Dream Drop Distance and Birth by Sleep.
For having just weirder battle mechanics and like Balloonga.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a fun game. I think should we do our reviews for this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume that you've played FF7.
Yes, that seems fair. It would be a little bit weird to play this without.
I don't. Yeah,
Not necessarily. You could play this before playing FF7.
Yes, you could.
Both of them have spoilers for the other one.
You'll be surprised at the end, and you might be mad. Yeah,
you might actually be kind of pissed if you play this before FF7.
Yeah, if you played this excited to play FF7 because your favorite character Zack is going to be in it.
Yeah.
I got some news for you, buddy. But I think given what it is, assuming like with the Shenmue games, assuming that you've played at a prerequisite FF7, I think for me this is a 4. The character building on Zack and the world building of the actual world, the kind of background, personality stuff, everything is so well done. I feel like you gotta do it.
I mean, I think if you like FF7, I think you should definitely play this.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even if you didn't love FF7, if you got through FF7,
sure,
you've probably at least got the I don't know, you've been held hostage.
Stockholm.
Stockholm. Yeah, if you've been Stockholmed by FF7 enough to finish it, then this actually makes FF7 better in retrospect.
Yeah, it really does.
And that's kind of a weird skill for a game to have, to make the prior game better.
Yeah.
But it really does. It just, it makes me appreciate Cloud more, it makes me appreciate Aerith more.
Yes.
It makes me appreciate Sephiroth more. I mean, Zack, I already... you did actually get a lot of this, personality stuff from Zack.
Yeah, you get a good sense of Zack's personality in 7, even though he's only there for, 5 minutes.
He's just in flashbacks entirely. But you're like, he seems kind of funny.
He's
always doing squats.
Doing the epic squats.
He does a lot of squats in this game. It's
he does
great.
A lot of squats.
I just feel like everything kind of... I'm like, if you played FF7 and you didn't play this, you've missed out on something really interesting and special. I cried at the end. I'm like, I was crying. You know what's coming, and I'm like, oh, this is still brutal.
Way better done than Aerith's death in FF7, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. It is a much more emotional death because you
actually care about Zack.
You care a lot about Zack.
Yeah,
and I mean, if you cared a lot about Aerith at the time, that would probably be pretty sad. But I think even if you know how Zack dies in FF7, they do it up a bit.
Yeah, they do it much better.
They clean it up a little bit. They make it a bit more reasonable that the way Zack dies, it works out a little bit more.
They did a good job, I think, of setting the expectations appropriately.
Yeah, they keep all the same scenes around it while injecting a few more just to make it make more sense.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of stuff that gets me excited for the remake of FF7.
Yes, I think this game really shows what you might do with FF7 remake.
Right. The only downside I think is that I feel like the entire plot line with Genesis, who's kind of the main villain, doesn't make much sense. I mean, it doesn't not make sense, but it does have some of those trademark Nomura. Yeah. There's some clones, there's some shenanigans. It's unclear exactly why he's this crazy or what's going on. You can kind of piece everything together, and then at the end you're like, I'm not going to ask too many questions about you.
Yeah, I was here for Zack. It's fun.
Yeah, Zack is like, at the end, he's like, alright, I'm gonna leave now. And you're like, yeah, that's probably a good choice.
Genesis, like, sitting on the ground on, like, a chair somewhere, and slightly from there, that's the end of Genesis. So, like...
Well, spoilers again. Spoilers.
That's right.
Yeah. Alright, go ahead and do yours.
I will say a 3. It is certainly a better story than FF7. Or at least in the way FF7 was originally presented. I expect the remake to be good. But yeah, Zack is so much more of an interesting character. I mean, having voice acting certainly helps bring characters to life. Sang is pretty interesting too. I like having him around.
Oh yeah, Sang. Sang is a lot of fun.
Cicene is fine. It's kind of a random character they've like added. It doesn't matter as much.
She's an interesting character.
Yeah, I think she's alright.
I like everyone basically except Genesis, kind of.
But then you also really like Genesis because he is the overdramatic theater kid.
Sure, okay.
We'll talk about him more in a bit. He's got his upsides.
And Jill is fun, if a bit on the nose.
Yeah. He's an angel. Yeah. A big complaint I have for this is just how much of an incredible slog the missions are. And you don't even have to do them. It's just the kind of thing that shows, like, some lack of respect for player time.
But some of this is just watching me do them.
But something I'll, like, complain about in any game where this comes up is, like, there's, like,
don't do them.
300 missions.
Sure.
Like, we had done a few of them, and it was like, missions complete, 3%, and I'm like, oh...
Yes.
Oh...
And the missions are very samey. They only have, like, 6 maps for the missions.
Yeah.
I agree, yes.
There's some random technical things, like how every battle is obviously in a circle. Every map is obviously a bunch of circles connected by paths.
Yes.
Just, like, a little bit silly.
Yeah, you get to a point where you, like, you realize where the random battles trigger, and you're like...
Yeah.
Let me try and skirt the edge of every
Spend
room.
the whole game just walking along the edges like a rat to avoid random fights. It's very strange. It just makes it feel odd.
Yeah, because the battles themselves, it seems like the triggers are like a point in the room and then a circle around it. But the circle doesn't always reach the edge of the stage.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time you can just kind of slip past them.
And then you learn the like bridges where you can't slip past, and you know there's going to be a fight.
So you change to the opposite wall where you know it is a little bit more of a gap.
So it's like weirdly emergent. There's some of like those kind of things. I was like, it's like.
I feel like none of that actually comes up in like the main game.
No, it's true. It's just like I want the whole experience to be so tight. But yeah, this is... I mean, is it a stronger 3 than, like, FF7? FF7 is more diverse and, like,
to me, it's a stronger 3
how it, like, feels. But yeah, story is just better here. Which is kind of why you play this one. It's really for the story. Yeah, battle system pretty good on the whole.
Yeah, I didn't really have any problems with any of the actual combat mechanics.
Yeah,
like, once you actually get everything figured out, it all feels very good.
Mostly you were playing and I was spotting.
I mean, but I even was able to hand you the controller during, or the whole system.
The whole system, yeah.
during like moderate fights, and you were able to do fine.
Yeah, it was fine. Without so much experience of it. Yeah, I think it like felt pretty good. But you do kind of get into a strat and you're like, okay, I put up barrier, I use this attack a lot. I put up barrier again when it's down.
Sure, but you do have to change your strats
for some fights
based on what the enemies are in the area.
Yeah.
Like, every time I loaded into a mission, it was like, well, okay, now there's the things that are weak to fire.
Put on the anti-thunder.
Yeah, I'll put on this set of things. It was only towards the end of the game that you start getting the, like, I can now equip immunity to all status effects and immunity to all elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that
so I think it's
made your strategy a bit
more
basic.
It's definitely good, and I think if you've played Final Fantasy VII, you owe it to yourself to get the Zack side of the story in this because it is quite good.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was worth getting the PSP and putting the game in and
dealing with it,
hooking it all up. I hope that they do some kind of remake eventually of this.
Yeah, it'd be really worth doing. It'd be kind of a shame not to. And also, it then made Advent Children better, having played those.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I saw Advent Children, both Advent Children, in the past. You saw it before finishing Final Fantasy VII, which probably didn't make a lot of sense, or... I mean, I guess it didn't matter too much, because it was like... half of the movie is one fight scene at the end.
Yeah.
There's
It's not a lot to Advent Children.
But seeing Zack and Aerith and Advent Children...
yes, I teared up when they showed up.
It's
I was
really
like...
good because of Crisis Core. And if you haven't played Crisis Core, there's like no impact for that scene.
Which is funny because I'm pretty sure Advent Children came out first.
Yes.
And that the scenes that they have in Advent Children, they copy-pasted into
Crisis Core.
Core.
So watching Crisis Core, we're like, oh, okay, it's actually the same art style and everything. But yeah, you should definitely play Crisis Core, then watch Advent Children if you're going to watch Advent Children. Just because it'll make the scenes of Zack better.
Yeah.
The main thing I think that was good in Advent Children was like seeing Zack.
Yes, agreed.
And all of that power is from Crisis Core. So yeah.
Yeah, like Crisis Core not only made FF7 better, it made Advent Children better
retroactively as well. Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a 4. Come on. That's a strong narrative ability.
Yeah, that's one aspect. Like, yeah, the gameplay is not amazing, and the missions are...
Sure, but, I mean, we gave Coffee Talk a 3 for having, like,
it's a
borderline garbage tier gameplay and, like, it's kind of worth playing story.
This is a 3 on the 4 side. This is a 3+, and Coffee Talk is a 3-. Coffee Talk has some bits that are technically tighter than Crisis Core.
Do they?
Cinematography
in Crisis Core is really good. The cutscenes are great.
Yeah. Yeah. Cutscenes are pretty good.
I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
They're very different.
Alright, shall we get to...
Yep.
Spoiler time? Spoiler time.
Let's talk.
Alright, spoilers.
Zack dies.
Yeah, Zack dies at the end. Oh boy, that's sad.
And that's a wrap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we've kind of talked about a lot of this one.
Yeah,
Any specific quick call-outs you want to make?
Well, I mean, just Genesis.
We haven't talked a lot about Angeal and Genesis.
Yeah.
They're the two, like, new characters that they added to this game, and what they kind of built the whole story around.
Yeah, Angeal is more of Zack's, like, direct mentor.
Yeah,
he's the soldier first class that Zack, like, really looks up to.
Angeal's the angel on his shoulder, Genesis is the devil on his shoulder, and Sephiroth's just some dude off on the side.
Yeah, Sephiroth matters less in this game. He's there. Matters less.
Angeal I liked.
Yeah, he's very paladin-y.
Dies pretty unceremoniously, but... I mean, he kills himself, sorta.
Yes, but then he's not...
He summons the wolves. I mean, he wants you to die. He wants to die.
Then he's kind of not dead.
Oh, well, one of his clone animal things, monsters.
Oh, yeah, watches over Aerith.
Yes.
Which is very cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jill was there as kind of like your mentor figure. The story is more around Genesis. And, can we explain the story of what's even happening with Genesis? So, in a similar way that Sephiroth is a kind of Genova clone because he was made by putting Genova cells in a woman's womb and while she had a baby, Genesis was made by injecting a baby with Genova cells?
Yeah, so I think the idea is that Project Genesis happened first.
Yes.
By a rival scientist to Hojo.
Yeah,
and
what's his name?
Genesis was like... We'll try injecting Genesis cells into a child.
Yeah.
Angeal was, let's try injecting the Genesis cells into, like, a person, like an adult.
Yeah, an adult, yeah.
And then she ended up having a kid, which, therefore, got the Genesis cells, which was...
Right.
Or, sorry, the Genesis cells, the Genova cells.
Yeah.
Which was Angeal. And Genesis was, like, really unstable, and Angeal was, like, much more stable. Yeah. Hojo saw both of these and was like, what if we skip the indirection, we inject the fetus with Genova cells.
Yeah, while it's in the womb, and like, and here we get Sephiroth.
And then we get Sephiroth, who's like the perfect version. He's like the safer Sephiroth.
So you're talking about the safer stuff.
He is the safer clone.
Yeah.
Of Genova.
And they all have like extreme combat abilities.
Yeah, I mean, I think the basic gist of it is that Genesis is falling apart because he's...
Yeah, he's a weird experiment, and he's starting to degrade.
Yeah, his like body is degrading, his mind is degrading, and he's really obsessed with his
cool red coat is fading.
Yeah, he's becoming ashen.
The degradation actually, or the degeneration actually affects his clothing.
Yeah, he... really, the whole story is just that he
wants
like...
to live, really.
He wants to live. He's mad at Shinra. He wants to take them down.
Yeah.
Genesis agrees... Angeal agrees, kind of, but has too much honor and, like...
Yeah.
Likes Soldier too much to really stop it, and Zack sees that that Genesis is like maybe gonna kill a lot more people than he thinks he's gonna kill, and tries to stop him.
And Ace Genesis kind of makes his own splinter version of Soldier with a bunch of steals a bunch of people from Soldier, but then also starts making a bunch of copies of himself as like additional troops.
Yes.
So that's like the main sort of army that you're fighting throughout the game. That and Wutai.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit weird. I think Genesis's motivations are like a bit fuzzy until, I mean, for a lot of it, kind of, because you don't really know what he's up to exactly. I mean, in the end, he's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what happened at the very, very end with Genesis. He, like, so you, like, beat him, and then you rescue him. You've, like, managed to fix him somehow.
Suddenly
with the super materia.
Goddess appears.
I think he's basically tricked you into helping him activate this super materia because he can't for some reason.
I don't know what happened with that Goddess at the end.
Oh, I guess because you have the good Genova cells now.
Oh, yeah.
Or newer Genova cells or something. I don't know.
And it was right, because he wants your hair. Yeah.
He wants Zack's hair, but it doesn't really work for him.
It was unclear if that Goddess was like beckoning him into the life stream or pushing him back out of the life stream.
I think Zack hits him into the life stream, and the Goddess like sends him back.
Yeah, and who is that even?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's the secret boss that we didn't fight.
Yeah, and then we just leave him on the ground in Benora.
Yeah, we're like, nice job, Genesis.
Yeah.
You're healed now. Why don't you go fuck off? I'm gonna take Cloud to Nibelheim.
Sitting there, like, zonked out.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, he doesn't really... Like, all of that was just kind of a side piece to give Zack motivation.
Give Zack something to do.
But,
yeah, to fight. Genesis's thing is that he really likes this play called Loveless, which somehow is a play of which only 4 of the 5 acts are known to humanity, and everyone is really interested in what the 5th act might be, and so is Genesis, and he's got theories about it, and half of his dialogue is just quoting lines from the play while, like, holding his little copy of Loveless.
Yeah, he's, like, decided to interpret his entire life as if it was
As if he was one of the
Loveless
characters.
was, like, a real thing that happened, or is, like, a prophecy.
Yeah.
And it turns out it's not.
No, it's...
Or it doesn't seem to be.
No.
Loveless itself is just, like, a kind of throwaway thing that
vaguely mention FF7. It shows up on, like, one sign at the beginning.
It shows up right at the beginning.
Yeah, it shows up on, like, a sign. It's, like, the random name of a play that's happening in the opening scene of FF7.
And they mention it a couple times, and Sid asks you about it, I think, on the airship, if you've, like, seen Loveless and what it means to him.
And they turn it into just the thing in Crisis Core.
Yeah, it's the thing that Genesis cares about.
Yeah. His dungeon is, like, a shrine to Loveless.
Yeah.
It's odd. But I do like his actor.
Yeah, the voice acting is really good. I think even just the mocap performance, I think, is fun.
Yeah. Looks all around.
Was that most of what you wanted to say?
I think so.
I mean, I really like the end scene.
Yes.
Yeah, seeing Advent Children after, there's a couple of lines throughout the game that that Zack says. They kind of add this whole thing about honor.
Yeah.
And that he never... It seems a little bit weird. So, I guess in Advent Children he has this line about, like, never lose your honor as a soldier.
Protect your soldier's
Protect
honor.
your soldier's honor and, like, be a hero.
Yeah. And in something your dreams. Embrace your dreams.
Oh, embrace your dreams. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Zach has like a couple of phrases that he says in Advent Children.
Yeah.
That he's never said anywhere else in any of the other, or like in FF7.
So they port those into Crisis Core.
So yeah, we port this into Crisis Core, and like he learns those from other people that he then passes on to Cloud. Yeah. Which is cute.
Yeah.
And it makes it work.
From Angeal.
It makes it work better in Advent Children when you get to that line.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, that's the thing that he learned from Angeal. He's passed it on. Even though that's definitely not what at the time they wrote Advent Children, there was no Angeal, there was no Genesis.
So yeah, yet again, Crisis Core, making Advent Children better.
Yeah, it's like they thought through it a bit more, and gave him a reason why he would say this.
A lot of these things, I think, which seem shoehorned in most other media, but here they actually managed to enhance, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's an interesting way of writing a game where you're like, we have like some framework, we need to fill this in and make it make more sense.
Yeah.
Though at parts also not making things make a whole lot of super sense, but yeah, that's just sort of the nature of the beast when you're dealing with clones and evil aliens from space and very nebulous concepts.
And I guess about this end scene, because in FF7, Zack has like saved Cloud from Nibelheim and then just kind of gets shot by some Shinra soldiers.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like one of the most badass like first-class soldiers.
Yeah. In
the world, but then dies to like two Shinra soldiers shooting him.
Yeah.
At the end of in FF7.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, I guess that happened. But if you're playing Crisis Core and you've killed like 1,000 Shinra soldiers yourself, then you're like, well, there's no way Zack died to two rando Shinra soldiers.
Yeah, like he can take some fucking bullets.
Yeah, he's been shot at so many times. Like Shinra shot does like 70 damage. I've got 16,000 health. And so I guess they do two main things about this, is that they make it so that when you've left Nibelheim, you're actually quite weak because of your, 5 years in Genova stasis tube.
Yeah, and then you go fight Genesis
and you
right
get
after.
And you get some good
That's really why you're weak, because you leave Nibelheim, you are on your way to Midgard, but then you get distracted by Genesis. You go fight and beat Genesis, and now you're like, oh boy, I'm tired.
But also, you have the good scenes leaving Nibelheim where you're fighting Shinra soldiers, and they're actually hard.
Yes, or Cloud is like...
harder.
The Zack is like, I feel so weak. I should have been able to take them.
He's like, why am I so weak? Yeah. Just atrophy over 5 years. So that, that helps build up a reason. And then they change this in the final scene. It's not just two Shinra soldiers, it's the whole goddamn army.
Yeah, you fight them. It's actually a really cool scene.
It's like a Dynasty Warriors worth.
Yeah, you get this kind of... I mean, it's billboarded and stuff, but you get there's the whole background is just filled with Shinra soldiers and helicopters and shit that are shooting you. You get sprayed with bullets from people you can't hit back, and they're constantly spawning in more soldiers after you kill them.
And the Turks are actually tracking you down. It's not just two random Shinra soldiers shot you on a cliff. It's
the whole fucking army's after you.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It all really works. And then they cap it off after Zack is really weak and worn down and you can't heal anymore. Your memory system starts acting up. Your DMV,
right.
the fantasy slot machine thing starts messing up, and your memories start glitching out. You forget about Aerith in the end, which is really sad. Or you keep all your memories until the Aerith one.
Yeah.
Also fades, and then you're collapse on the ground, and then they do the scene with the two Shinra soldiers that walk up and shoot him.
Right. Yeah.
So they make it still end capped with the soldier scene from, or the how the scene looks in FF7 when he dies, but it makes more sense in this context.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they give Cloud the sad, or the
transfer.
Yeah, the transfer of hope, which is really cool. And
symbolized in Buster Sword.
Yeah, I think it was a good way to cap off the game, and it was
and I guess
it made the whole game worth playing.
It's also from Angeal too, so it's been passed down from Angeal to...
Oh, right, they give the Buster Sword a whole history, and then of course,
which is pretty
Cloud is just whatever, Buster Sword, that's my starting game weapon.
Yeah, it's just if I have a second weapon, I'm out.
It's garbage.
But yeah, the whole transfer from Angeal through Zack to Cloud is really quite well done. use leads to wear, tear, and rust.
All right. Well, I think we're probably good to call that then.
Mm-hmm.
Clear.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Yeah, it was good stuff. I'm glad we played it. I'm glad we gave it a shot. The next one on the list, maybe a little bit less so. So I guess tune in for some Dirge of Cerberus next time on GameCube.